Emma, a sharp law student, was at the supermarket when she noticed three people acting oddly, seemingly eyeing the same package of pasta. Who's up to no good? Take a closer look. The elderly man with a hunched back is hiding the pasta right under his coat. His posture helped him cover the volume of the packages, and he'll probably steal another one. At checkout, Emma sees an older woman trying to buy a cake that costs $30, but she only has $20 in her wallet. The cashier says no, but the elderly woman insists she's still taking the cake home. But how? Well, no need to call security. She's just going to use the digital wallet on her phone. She might be older, but she keeps up with the trends. Back at home, Emma feels like something's off. She starts scanning her porch, trying to figure out if it's just her imagination or if something's wrong. What's out of place? Look carefully. The soil in the plant pot is disturbed. Someone dug through it to find her spare keys, but I guess got disturbed during the search. Emma rushes to her room to cool off, but then she realizes the window is open. She's certain now someone got inside. Can you find out what they've stolen? Take a look at the desk. The mouse and keyboard are there, but the computer screen is missing. She gets closer to check it out and finds a bracelet next to the keyboard with the letter M. The suspect must have left it behind by mistake, and she immediately knows who took her computer. But who was it? Emma has a matching bracelet, but hers has the letter E on it. It's the one she shares with her boyfriend. So it wasn't a robbery. He just probably borrowed her computer. Phew! Emma heads over to her boyfriend's place, and he decides to make things fun with a treasure hunt. Emma's mission? Find her computer screen. The instructions are simple. Take 2 steps to the right, walk straight until you reach the wall, take 2 steps back. Can you guess the location of her computer screen using this room map? That's right, it's hidden under the rug. Careful where you step. Emma heads to the park for fresh air, but she spots 2 pregnant women acting strange. Who's faking the pregnancy? This woman has a cloth sticking out from under her blouse. She's not really pregnant, it's a fake belly. Still suspicious, Emma follows the woman to a nearby store. She watches as the woman picks out some clothes and heads to the checkout. What's she hiding? Notice anything odd? Look at the sign. She's in the priority lane. Looks like she faked her pregnancy just to skip the line and avoid waiting. Emma decides to confront the scammer and asks her, "How long have you been pregnant?" The lady answers, "For 100 days." Now Emma is sure she's faking it. But why? "100 days means she's about 3 months pregnant. So no way her belly would be that big if she's telling the truth." The law student lost track of time and needs to get home as soon as possible. She has 3 transport options: take the bus for $3, grab a taxi for $20, or hitch a ride with a friend on a motorcycle for free. Which one does she choose? The motorcycle ride sounds tempting since it's free, but here's the catch: the tire's flat. So she wouldn't get there as quickly as she needs to. The bus is cheap too, but it'll probably take ages to get home. In the end, she decides to take the taxi. Emma needs to study for a law exam. She opens her notebook and sees that her professor left her 3 riddles to solve. If she figures them all out, she'll get extra points. Can you help her? Here's the first one. I stand for order, not for fight, but cross me wrong and you'll lose the right. What am I? The answer is justice, says Emma. Next one. I decide if someone is guilty or innocent, but I'm not a judge. Who am I? Oh, that's easy. A jury. On to the last one. I saw it all, but kept no score. When asked to speak, I tell what's more. Who am I? And the answer is a witness. Amazing! In college, Emma's professor tells her she'll have to take part in a pretend trial called a moot court to test her skills as a future lawyer. Here's the situation. On a snowy day, a man got hit by a car, and the driver says it wasn't his fault. A witness says the pedestrian light was green. The driver claims he was going within the speed limit, and the victim says he was on the crosswalk. Now look at the scene and answer, who's lying? The victim. The witness was telling the truth because the light was indeed green for the pedestrian. But those footprints in the snow show that the victim crossed outside the crosswalk, so it wasn't the driver's fault. The professor keeps testing Emma and suggests another situation. A lawyer goes to the house of a rich man who passed away. The will clearly states, I leave my fortune to my son Mark and my daughter Anna, with the condition that she must finish engineering school to get her share. Look at the scene and tell me, will the fortune be split between the siblings? Unfortunately, no. Notice the picture on the wall. Anna is wearing a doctor's uniform, which suggests she graduated in medicine, not engineering. So only Mark gets the inheritance. It's time for the professor to hand out the grades from the last exam. Emma's friends are waiting for their results, and he says, whoever's wearing glasses got a D, Maria got a B, and only one girl got an A. So, who got the highest grade in the class? Since the ones with glasses got a D, we can rule out the first and fourth girls. Girl number 2 is wearing a necklace with the initials M, so that must be Maria, who got a B. That means the third girl must have gotten an A. In the evening, Emma decides to try something different and goes with her boyfriend to a dining-in-the-dark experience. Basically, they have to try different foods while blindfolded. The appetizer comes out quickly. Without even looking, she says, I know what this is, but how? Easy. She smelled it. It's blue cheese. So, even with the cover on the plate, she could smell its strong aroma. Now, one of the customers says that while she was blindfolded, someone stole her purse. The crime happened at 7 p.m. A suspect claims it wasn't him because he had just arrived. He even shows a movie ticket as proof. Look closely at the ticket and answer, is his alibi solid? Nope. Because having a ticket doesn't prove he actually watched the movie. He could have just walked in, grabbed her purse, left early, and then gone back to the restaurant. The waiter brings the bill. The total for the appetizer and the main course is $150. Emma checks the cost of each dish and realizes that the main course costs $100 more than the appetizer. So how much is each item? The appetizer costs $25 and the main course costs $125. Ooh, a bit pricey, isn't it? To get into her house, Emma needs to enter a 3-digit code. Since she loves playing cards, she made a password based on that. The first 2 digits are the numbers of cards in a standard deck. The last digit is the number of suits. Can you crack the code? A regular deck of playing cards has 52 cards and 4 suits. So Emma's password is 524.
A lot of things can go wrong during a taxi ride, but you can save the day if you solve all the riddles. A woman got into a taxi with a light suitcase. Along the way, they made a short stop, and she stepped out of the car. When she returned, it was obvious that her suitcase got much heavier, and she was nervous. The taxi driver took her to the police. Why? Her suitcase suddenly became much heavier after the stop. She must have put something inside. The driver noticed she was nervous and suspected that the luggage might contain illegal or stolen items, so he decided to take her to the police. A passenger took a taxi and the ride cost $18. He gave the driver $50. The driver got distracted and accidentally gave back the $50 bill instead of a $20 bill. How much money did the passenger get as change? So the passenger gave $50 and received $50 back. Instead of getting $32 as he should have, he got $62. Let's hope he was honest and told the driver about it. A passenger ordered a taxi, and 2 drivers arrived at the same time. Both of them claimed they accepted the ride request, but one of them is honest and the other will drive in circles to increase the fare. How can the passenger figure out who to trust? The female driver has a taximeter on the dashboard, showing the fare and distance traveled. This means she is a legit driver. The male driver has no taximeter, and there's a map on the front seat. He might be planning to take unnecessary detours. A woman ordered a taxi through an app and saw that the car number matched the one in the booking. But as soon as she got inside, she realized that the driver was an imposter. How did she figure it out? The app showed that this was a licensed taxi, but inside there was no meter or official stickers with a license number. The driver's profile photo in the app showed a clean-shaven man, while the actual driver had a long beard that looked fake. Late at night, a man ordered a taxi from a cafe. The driver arrived, but after the passenger got in and asked to change the destination, he suddenly refused to drive him. Why? When the passenger got into the car, the taxi driver noticed that he had huge bags. He asked to change the destination from a point in the city center to a dark forest on the outskirts. The driver decided not to take the risk and cancel the trip. Who knows what the passenger had in mind? A passenger gets into a taxi and says, "Take me home." The driver remembers picking him up from the house a few days ago, so he knows the street. But the passenger doesn't want to tell the driver the house number for some reason and gives the driver one clue. My house number is a 2-digit number that looks the same right side up as it does upside down. What is the passenger's house number? It's 69. Sam picks up a man in a smart suit not far away from a jewelry store. He tells Sam, "Take the shortest route to the airport, but don't pass by the police station. There's a traffic jam there." Sam does the opposite and drives the man directly to the police station. Why? Did you notice the man has 3 golden watches and 5 heavy golden chains on his neck? He must have robbed the jewelry store and doesn't want to be anywhere near the police station. A man hailed a taxi in the city center and gave the driver an address. The driver looked at him, then at his phone, and said, "Sorry, I can't take you," and drove away. Why? The driver had just received an alert that a dangerous prisoner had escaped from an island prison. The description of the criminal matched. The driver suspected that the passenger might have changed into his lawyer's clothes and decided not to take the risk. Jill picks up a passenger at 3:15 p.m. The passenger needs to reach the train station by 3:45 p.m. to catch a train. Jill has 3 route options. Which route should Jill take? Route C. Even though it's the longest, it takes only 20 minutes, meaning he'll reach the station by 3:35 p.m. and will have enough time to find the platform. The driver can choose one of 3 passengers in the app. They all offer to pay the same fare. Who is the best option based on their profiles? The driver should pick Rick. The trip is short, but the fare is the same as for other trips, and he'll get some generous tips. A woman messages the driver through the taxi app. The driver immediately calls 911 and they rescue the woman. How did the driver guess she needed help? That house number looks really strange, so the driver guesses it's a code. I is the 9th letter of the alphabet, so it stands for 9, and A stands for 1, so it was a call for action. It turned out that a stranger had broken into the woman's house and wouldn't let her call for help directly, and she had to get creative. Taxi driver Tim receives an order with a special request. A scientist who has some fragile equipment they want to transport is asking Tim to enter their house and help with the cargo, but they didn't specify on which floor they lived. Can you help Tim figure it out? There's clearly a family with a child on the ground floor. Look at all those toys. It's not clear who lives on the first floor. Tim definitely needs the top floor because of all the flasks and other equipment. Sam finished on his 10-hour shift. He left the taxi in the parking lot. When he came back the next morning, there was a stranger sleeping in the back seat. None of the windows were broken, so Sam doesn't understand how it was possible. Can you help him figure it out? The stranger didn't have to break the window because the doors weren't locked. Sam forgot to lock the car because he was really tired after the 10-hour shift. The passengers are in a playful mood and don't want to name the destination address. Instead, they give the driver a rebus. Can you figure out where they want to go? They want to go to the Eiffel Tower. Look at their berets. They're perfectly prepared for a photo shoot. There was a massive blackout in the city, but the taxi driver still noticed a dog on the road and managed to stop in time and avoid hitting it. What superpower helped him do it? No one said the accident happened at night, and during the day, the driver didn't need electric light to see the dog. 2 daughters and 2 mothers ordered a taxi. The driver specified he had only 3 seats in the car, but it didn't stop them. How is it possible? They are a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. 2 of them are moms and 2 of them are daughters, so there's enough room for everyone in the taxi. Martha receives an order from Mr. White from a really shady neighborhood. When she arrives, she sees 2 men claiming to have made the order. She's afraid one of them could be a criminal trying to leave the area incognito. How can she figure out who actually ordered a taxi through an app? She just needs to ask to see the passenger's phone. The real Mr. White will have a ride request on it. All the passengers have arrived at their destinations, and all the taxi drivers are safe, thanks to you. Well done!
Hey, think you're a master of logic? Get ready to twist your brain into knots with these mind-bending riddles. Two patients are in the hospital and connected to IVs that are keeping them alive. The guy is about to cut the girl's IV tube, but she's alert and ready to cut his IV tube any second. Oops! Who is in real danger here and why? Well, both of them are in danger. The IV tubes are crossed. The guy's IV bag is connected to the girl, and the girl's IV bag is connected to the guy. If either of them cuts the other's tube, they will actually cut off their own supply. Nah. Now this one is for the sharpest eyes only. Can you tell which of these ladies lives alone just by looking at the pictures? The woman on the left is not alone. There are two towels in the background, so someone else must be sharing the bathroom with her. Sally was dreaming about going on a road trip to Europe with her besties, but her parents didn't let her go. Instead, they gave her the money to join a knitting camp in Ohio. Everyone was happy until they demanded that she send them a photo. They instantly knew she was lying. How did they find out? Sally was smart enough to bring yarn and make her friends pretend they were avid knitters. But what is that in the background? Looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. They did go to Europe after all. The guy of her dreams just asked Liza out on a dream getaway for the weekend. The flight is leaving in less than 3 hours, and she literally has only a minute to get ready. Her closet is a total mess, and the only light bulb is out. She needs to find a pair of socks in this huge box in the dark. All of the socks are in her favorite colors, red, white, and blue. How many socks does she need to grab so she gets at least one pair of the same color? Luckily for her, Liza just needs to grab 4 socks. Even if 3 of them are all mismatching, the 4th one should match with one of the others. 2 happy couples just had the weddings of their dreams and posted photos to make everyone else jealous. But it looks like only one couple is actually wealthy enough to afford this wedding. Can you tell who's lying here? The couple on the right are faking it. Look closely, the setting isn't real. They are not at a tropical island, but at a photo studio. The couple on the left panel are truly wealthy. They are on a luxurious tropical vacation at a private beach. Aria's favorite author, Bella Wright, is coming to town for a book signing, but the only way to get a ticket is to solve a riddle the event organizer posted online. DEEF. Can you help Aria figure it out? It's feedback. Feed spelled backwards. Sarah checks into the Starlight Hotel. In the lobby, 3 porters offer to take care of her luggage. She has some really expensive clothes and watches inside, so she needs to be careful. Can you guess which of the porters she can trust with her stuff? The first porter has a uniform with the logo and name of a different hotel. The second porter has two golden watches, one on his left hand and one on his right. Looks like the left watch is too big for him, so he probably stole it. The third porter looks totally normal, so Sarah should choose him. Oh no, this girl is about to be eaten by a shark. Or is she? What happened here, and how did she survive? Look at her wristband. She's at an amusement park. The shark isn't real. Strange amusement if you ask me, but I hope she's having fun. Michael is a huge coffee fan, but he decided to try something new this year. Now, he drinks 1 cup of coffee every day, but on even days of the month, he also has a cup of matcha latte. How many cups of matcha latte will he have this year? All months but February have 30 or 31 days. There are usually 15 even days in each of those 11 months. If we multiply 15 by 11, we get 165 days. If there are 14 even days in February, then the total number of matcha lattes Michael will have in a year is 179. That's a lot of caffeine. Someone stole a tiny but really rare and expensive painting during an art exhibition. The detective arrived on the spot and found 3 suspects who were standing close to the crime scene. Of course, each of them claims it was not them. Liza says, "I want to run for mayor of the town. Why would I risk my reputation like this?" Anna says, "Excuse me, but I'm a billionaire. I have enough money to buy this entire gallery, so why would I steal?" Sammy, who works as a receptionist at the art gallery, says, "I had no idea this painting was so expensive. I'm new here. Who's lying?" Look at Anna's bag. Chanel is clearly misspelled, so it's a fake. Why would a billionaire wear it? I don't think so. She must be the real thief. Chucky and Lucky are twins. They were born in October, but their birthday is in November. How is this possible? October could be the name of their town, and November is the real birth month. Sam sees the girl of his dreams and instantly falls in love with her. He wants to know everything about her, but she refuses to share any information unless he solves a riddle. "I'm twice as old as my sister, but in 10 years, I'll only be 1.5 times her age. How old am I now?" Looks like his love is 20, and her sister is 10 years old. The girl didn't expect Sam to solve the riddle so easily, so now she wants him to solve another one before she tells him her name. She points to her car parked nearby. It's right there on my license plate. Can you figure out her name from this combination? Try reading it upside down. Her name is Amelia. The police arrived at a luxury beach resort early one morning. The night before, someone attacked the lifeguard and left him unconscious on the beach. 3 guests were suspected: Bella, Mark, and Sophie. The police searched their rooms for clues, and here's what they found. Can you tell who attacked the lifeguard by looking at these rooms? It was Sophie. She had no swimming gear or items for relaxing at the beach, so she wasn't at the resort for typical beach activities. She must have had a different reason for being there. Perhaps the boyfriend was Michael the lifeguard from the previous question, who is now hitting on Amelia. Just guessing. Let's move on. Mickey has 10 coins in his pocket, worth a total value of $1.55. One of them is not a dime. What coins does he have? It must be $1/2, 1 nickel, and 8 dimes. No one told you only one coin isn't a dime. Sandra decided to play a quiz game. She's asking the same question to everyone she meets, and each time she gets a different answer. Can you guess what the question is? What time is it now? Uh-oh, an evil AI genius has locked you in and makes you solve riddles to entertain them. You've been doing great so far, but one final riddle is the most important, as it will open the door. Please don't panic and try to solve it ASAP. Did you get it? 9:50 is 10 to 10, so it must be the villain's favorite time of the day. Yes, you're free to go now. Bye.
Do werewolves bother you every full moon? Do ghosts haunt your attic? Do you suspect that your neighbor is a vampire? Well, Amelia is the person you need. She's a professional dealing with supernatural creatures, and here's what her regular day looks like. Right after waking up, Amelia had a simple mental warm-up before a hard-working day. She counted how many vampires there were in a hospital room, and it took her less than half a minute. How much time will you need? Well, the blonde woman has a bloody stain on her cheek. Suspicious. The twins seem to be vampires as well. The first one can't stand the light. The second one's feet are covered with mud. He must have been hunting barefoot last night. The black-haired lady holding her neck is turning into a vampire, and there's also one more vampire hiding beneath the bed. So, there are 5 vampires in total. Next, she decided to figure out which influencer was a vampire. Can you help her spot the supernatural creature? The first lady has a big collection of sunglasses. Is she trying to hide something? But why would she have a mirror then? Vampires have no reflection. The second lady, on the contrary, has no mirrors. She doesn't need them because she's a vampire. So she has a rail to hang on when she turns into a bat. On the first real case today, Amelia has been invited to investigate a biting case at a wedding. Shockingly, it's the groom himself who's been bitten. The bride and her maids look pretty suspicious. The redhead has fangs. The bride has a stain on her dress. And the black-haired lady has blood on her lips. Who's guilty? Look at the groom's body language. He's trying to ask for help, looking at the redhead, so she's not the one who bit him. The bride was the one who was close enough to the groom to bite him and to get that bloody stain. As for the black-haired lady, she just seems to have some makeup malfunctions. Amelia went to buy coffee and found this boy. He got lost. Soon, 2 women, if we can call them this way, appeared in front of her. Both the vampire and the alien claimed that the boy was her son. Help Amelia find out who the mother of the child is, the vampire or the alien. Look at the toy the boy is playing with. It's a little alien, so it seems that the boy and the redhead alien are relatives. Amelia hardly had enough time to drink her coffee when a client wrote to her. He suspected that one of his 2 new maids was a werewolf. Amelia looked at the girls' rooms attentively and realized which one was a werewolf. Have you guessed? The room on the left is messy and untidy, while the right one is almost immaculate. But there's one weird thing. Look at the headboard. There are belts to keep werewolves in place when it's full moon. The girl occupying this room is a werewolf. Amelia went to investigate another case. Someone in this family secretly became a vampire and they bit the father a second ago. Can you help her understand who it was? There's something red on the boy's plate, but it's likely ketchup. He's eating a burger. The boy is drinking something red, but it can be simple juice. Look at the mother. She doesn't seem to be wearing any lipstick, and still, she's got something red next to her lips. She must be a vampire. Plus, she's the only person tall enough to reach the man's neck. A businessman called Amelia and invited her to his office. He was sure that one of his employees was a vampire. Look at these office workers attentively and find the one who's not human. The lady is drinking good old water, and you can see some drops on her chin. The man in a blue shirt is drinking soda. We can see some bubbles in his glass. The blonde man seems to be drinking some tea or coffee, but we can't be sure since his cup isn't transparent. One more hint that he's a vampire is extensive makeup on his face and foundation stains on his white shirt and the plate. It means he covered his pale skin on his face and palms with makeup. He must be the vampire. In the afternoon, Amelia traveled to the seaside to crack some cases connected with mermaids. For example, she had to figure out which mermaid was this man's wife. Have you understood it too? Do you see that tattoo on the man's neck? It's the letter L. The mermaid on the right has a tattoo as well. It's the letter J. They almost likely had the first letters of each other's names tattooed on their skin, so they must be husband and wife. While she was on the beach, Amelia was watching people, and suddenly she realized that one of them wasn't human. Look at these young people playing beach volleyball. Can you figure out who's not human? It's this girl. If you compare her with her friends, she's the only one who's not sweating and isn't red-faced because of the heat and exertion. Amelia decided to take a bus to get to the city. At one point, she realized that some of the passengers on that bus were zombies. Can you spot them too? There are two zombies on the bus. This man with a bandage on his neck and one ear missing. And this business lady sitting near the window. She's making bizarre growling noises. After arriving at the city, Amelia found out that a robot had committed a crime. Unfortunately, the police were unable to catch the culprit immediately. But they suspended 3 people, and each of them could be the criminal. They invited Amelia to figure out the true identities of those people. She had a knife, a screwdriver, a bottle of water, and a pen. Which object should she use to reach her goal? Amelia should make the suspects drink from the bottle. The robot will either refuse or short circuit. A scared store owner called Amelia, claiming there was a vampire in his store. When she arrived there, she couldn't find the store owner, but there were 3 other people inside. Look at them attentively and help Amelia figure out which of them is a vampire. Well, the first one's eyes are pretty red, but maybe he hasn't had enough sleep or is coming down with the flu. The second visitor seems to be freezing. Almost all parts of her body are covered with some clothing. Could be the air conditioning. But look at the third person. He's drinking something red from a glass using a straw. He must be the vampire you're looking for. Now, where is that store owner? Amelia decided to drop by her office, and coincidentally, a very pale woman covering a bite on her neck with her hand entered. She said that when she'd been going home the evening before, someone had attacked her and turned her into a vampire. She wanted to find the culprit. After investigating the case, Amelia had 3 suspects. Look at them attentively and find the one who turned the woman into a vampire. This elderly man has no teeth, so he can't be a vampire. This woman has tan marks, but vampires can't sunbathe. So the man wearing gloves must have turned Amelia's client into a vampire. Since it was almost the end of the week, Amelia decided to take a mini vacation and go to visit her friends in Miami. During dinner, they told her about a mysterious mansion with a very bad reputation. Those who once entered it never came back. Amelia went to explore the building. Soon, she realized she was lost. Suddenly, she found herself in a large room with 4 doors. Behind the first door, there was a mummy. Behind the second door, a vampire was hiding. The third door led into the den of a hungry wolf. And behind the fourth door, there was a ghost. Which door should Amelia opt for to get out of the mansion unharmed? The mummy can potentially be very dangerous. The vampire behind the second door is also far from friendly. The wolf, especially hungry, can easily attack a person. In comparison, the ghost is relatively harmless. Amelia should choose the fourth door. And which supernatural creature scares you most? Comment below. Meet Tom. Tom is a criminal, smart and lucky. So far, the police haven't had a chance to catch him. Let's follow Tom's adventures and see if he manages to fool the detectives forever. The detectives have been following Tom for a few hours when the guy suddenly disappears from under their noses. It turns out Tom has hidden in a restaurant. The police officers enter and check the place, but there is no sign of the criminal. He must have disguised himself to escape unnoticed later. Luckily, there are only 3 customers at the restaurant. A man wearing a fancy suit with an oversized coat and a top hat. The strange thing about him is the fact that it's a warm day outside, so his outfit seems to be completely out of place. He's also holding an umbrella. Then there's a woman wearing a huge pair of sunglasses and holding an oversized bag. She seems to be looking down at her phone, not lifting her head and avoiding eye contact with everyone. And then there's also a young lady wearing a dress and a hat, sipping her coffee in the corner. Can you identify Tom? Tom is disguised as that young lady drinking coffee. Look, even though this person looks like a lady, they're wearing black men's shoes. Miraculously, Tom manages to escape, and the detective loses sight of him until the next major case shakes up the city. A series of small thefts occur in a large museum. They all happen right before the main event of the year. A world-known statue is to be exhibited at the museum. The detectives realize that all those small thefts must be a distraction. The main target is the statue, and the main suspect is Tom. Suddenly, during the investigation, the lights in the museum go out. The detectives hear some wild noise coming from a distant hall. Now, they must decide what to do. Can you help them? Tom is smart. He indeed organized the blackout to divert attention from his real goal, the statue. But his plan failed. The detectives decided to stay near the main exhibition area where the statue was displayed, rather than going to investigate the reason for all that noise. Since then, Tom has become a rather infamous and wanted criminal. And shockingly, some people use this fact for their own selfish purposes. One day, a woman calls the police. She is in tears. She tells them that at night, someone broke into her house. By the time the woman plucked up her courage to go downstairs, the thief had already taken all the valuables. When she looked out of the window, the man was running away. The woman says she's sure it was Tom. Even though it was still dark outside, she understood it was a man, tall and thin, with dark hair, wearing a V-neck t-shirt and resembling the city's infamous criminal. The police immediately realized that the woman staged the burglary and is trying to frame Tom. How have they figured it out? It was dark. The man was supposedly running away from the woman's house. Then how could she understand he was wearing a V-neck t-shirt and looked like Tom? So, Tom hasn't committed any burglaries yet, but he still decides to lie low and leave the country for a while. He goes to Argentina and starts crossing the border with Bolivia every day, changing cars almost every time. The local police find it suspicious. They believe Tom smuggles stuff, but they can't figure out what exactly they should look for. There's never anything suspicious in Tom's cars, even after thorough checks. How does Tom smuggle things without being caught by the police? If you were attentive enough, you might have noticed that while Tom changes cars daily, the rear tire, yep, this slightly weird one, always stays the same. Tom uses it to hide smuggled goods. One day, Tom gets into a trap while trying to steal a collection of diamonds from a huge mansion. He falls into a hatch in the floor and finds himself in a locked room in the basement. Soon, Tom notices that the door has a code lock. He also finds an abandoned sheet of paper lying on the floor next to the door. There are 4 flowers drawn on there. A kid's drawing? Unlikely. Tom examines the picture for a while and then enters the correct code. The door opens, and Tom escapes with the diamonds. Can you figure out the code? Tom counted the petals on each flower. The number of the petals corresponded with the digits of the code. So, the code was 3854. Tom decides to take a break and visit his friend Logan, who is also a criminal with a wicked sense of humor. Logan loves riddles. In the evening, he challenges Tom to get the key to the room where he keeps some stolen goods. If Tom manages to do it, he can take as many valuables as he can carry. Tom enthusiastically agrees, and Logan drops the key in the bucket filled with cold water. Tom's task is to get it, but he can't touch the water or use anything to pull the key out. Well, later in the night, Tom becomes significantly richer. How did he manage to get the key? Tom set the bucket on fire. The water started to boil and soon evaporated. After that, Tom picked the key up and the treasure hunt began. One day, Tom realizes that the police are on his tail. He rushes to the nearest hair salon. He wants to have his hair dyed, hoping it'll help him change his appearance. At first, the administrator tells him there are no available hairstylists. But after Tom's pleas, she makes a phone call and tells him she has found another hairdresser. The criminal is happy, but in the process, it dawns on him that the hairstylist is fake and even dangerous. How has he figured it out? Instead of hairspray, the hairdresser is holding a can of bug spray. Liam, a successful entrepreneur with a multi-million-dollar business, and his friend Oliver, a police detective, returned from a long trip abroad. First of all, they decide to stop by Liam's villa to check if everything's okay there. When the men enter the house, though, they see that everything more or less valuable is missing. The entire villa is a mess. Oliver takes an apple from the dining room table and starts to munch on it thoughtfully. He realizes that the lock isn't broken, which means that the person who took all the stuff has the key. After a while, the detective decides to question 3 people. Hannah, Liam's niece, tells Oliver that she hasn't visited her uncle's home since she's been having serious problems with her car. And the villa is too far away from the city to get there by public transport. Maria, a new maid Liam hired right before the departure, claims she stopped by several weeks ago to bring some food and tidy up. But since then, she hasn't been to the villa. And Marcus, the gardener, tells the detective he has been on vacation and has just returned. Then he shows his plane tickets to Oliver. The detective immediately understands who is behind the mess. Have you figured it out too? It was Maria, the maid. She said she'd brought food several weeks ago, but the apple Oliver grabbed from the table was perfectly fresh. Now, here's a plot twist. By a strange coincidence, Oliver is also one of the detectives investigating the cases our Tom is involved in. And now, Oliver is arresting the maid, knowing very well that she is an imposter. It's actually Tom, dressed as a woman. The detective has finally captured the most wanted criminal in the city. But how did he figure out that the maid is Tom in disguise? Look at the maid's arm. See that tattoo? I hope you've been attentive enough to notice the very same tattoo decorating our criminal's arm. Your criminal career is over, Tom. Sarah and John invited 3 women to a dinner party at their home. Emily brought a red lipstick with her. Claire was wearing a bracelet that John had once mentioned he liked. And Julia had a handkerchief peeking out of her bag. Now, Sarah suspects that one of them is John's lover. But who? Let's see. Emily had a red lipstick, but it wasn't on her lips, so the kiss mark on John's neck isn't from her. John did compliment Claire's bracelet once, but she wears it every day. Now, check out that handkerchief sticking out of Julia's bag. It has a J on it. John has a matching handkerchief with the same letter, which he always uses for special occasions like tonight. That means Julia is the secret lover. Lily was at a job interview for a journalist position. After some tough questions, the interviewer said she would get back to her later with the results. But Lily noticed that the interviewer had written E start start in her notes. So, did she get the job or not? The letter E is written in red, and the word start is repeated twice. Put together, it reads, ready to start. Congrats on the new job, Lily! You made it! Susan broke up with Liam, and before moving out, she couldn't find her diary. So she told Liam, if you find it, promise me you'll throw it away without reading it. A year later, Liam found the diary. Despite the promise, he decided to open it anyway and saw the message. He then facepalmed. Can you guess why? Well, Liam finally understood why Susan left him. Check out the message backward. It reads, I cannot trust you. Ouch! Andrew got a job taking care of 3 quirky dogs for a wealthy and eccentric old man. The instructions were simple. Buddy loved beef, Luna preferred chicken, and Rocky enjoyed fish. But when it was time to feed the animals, Andrew only saw the numbers 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom of the bowls, and couldn't remember which bowl corresponded to which dog. Can you help him out? Look at the wall. The dogs are real champs, and the bowls match their medals. Buddy, who won first place, gets bowl number 1. Rocky, who came in second, gets bowl number 2. And Luna, who finished third, gets bowl number 3. Arthur was having dinner at Jack's, his childhood friend. After a while, Jack pulled out an old photo album. Arthur was having a great time flipping through it until he suddenly froze in shock. There was a photo from a senior school trip in 1994, and he was in it. But he didn't remember going. What was going on? Sadly, Arthur couldn't make it to that trip. His friends didn't want him to feel left out, so they attached a photo of Arthur's face to a stick and brought it with them. Christina was working when her mom called her, urgently telling her to hurry and open their safe at home. She revealed that the first numbers were 06 and 16, but just as she was about to say the last number, the call dropped. Christina knew the code was 3 two-digit numbers in a sequence. Can you help her figure out the entire code? If you turn the code numbers upside down, you get 90 and 91. That means the next number in the sequence is 92. Phew! So, Jay Rush, a famous rapper, is hanging out in his super soundproof home studio, where absolutely no outside noise gets through. But suddenly, he hears a soft woman's voice singing. How is that possible? Take a look over there, in the corner. There's a baby monitor. The voice he heard was his wife singing a lullaby to their daughter upstairs. Leo is studying in Spain and has planned a romantic weekend in Paris with his girlfriend. Their flight is set for 7 in the morning. They both arrive at the airport at the same time, look at each other, and say, "I'm so sorry." So what are they apologizing for? Check the clock on the wall. It's 7 in the evening. That means they both overslept and missed their morning flight. Luckily, the airline put them on the next one. Alan is taking his driving test, and he's sitting there all nervous next to the instructor. Suddenly, a car zooms through a red light right in front of them. The instructor says, "Never do what that crazy driver just did." But there's something that shocks Alan even more. Can you guess what it is? The terrible driver is actually Alan's twin brother. Different haircuts, but the same face. What are the odds? Susan is writing a birthday card for her best friend and wants to cut it into a heart shape. But, oh no, she can't find her scissors. So, Susan goes to a store where she sees 4 options. Scissors for $2, $5, $15, and $30. Which pair does she buy? She picks the $15 pair. Let's remember that Susan wrote the card with her left hand, and the $15 scissors are the only ones designed for left-handed people. Thomas was in the library when he found a dusty old book titled Ancient Riddles. As he flipped through the pages, a card fell out with the word molar written on it. He quickly figured out that this card didn't belong in the book. How did he know? Well, molar is a type of tooth, and the word is written in blue. So the answer here is Bluetooth. Definitely a bit too modern for an ancient riddle, don't you think? At a birthday celebration at a luxury spa, Lily was proudly wearing her favorite designer bracelet. After a relaxing session in the sauna, everyone went back to the lounge, only to find that Lily's bracelet was missing. Can you guess what happened to it? The masseuse took it. Check out the lotion bottle. The bracelet is wrapped around the lid. Dennis plays soccer with his friends every week after work. One evening, he noticed that his sports socks were sewn together. In a hurry, he just wore his work socks to the game and forgot about it. The next morning, his wife looked pale and said, "We need to talk." Why was she so upset? Turns out, Dennis's wife sewed his sports socks together to see if he was cheating. She thought that if the socks were still sewn together the next day, it meant he'd skipped soccer for a secret date. Clara woke up suddenly at 4 in the morning to the sound of her phone hitting the floor. She thought it must have been the cat, but then she noticed that Mr. Whiskers was across the room staring at her. So how did the phone end up on the floor? Turns out it was a little earthquake. Clara figured it out when she picked up her phone and saw an earthquake alert on the screen. Tom is a new lifeguard at Splash Water Park Resort. He's watching over the wave pool when he suddenly spots an emergency. Can you figure out what's caught his attention? This kid doesn't have a floaty, but that's not an issue since she's in the shallow end. Look further back. See that hand sticking out between the floaties? Someone has slipped out of their floaty and is signaling for help. Dave, Emily, and Tom decided to play hide and seek at Emily's house. Emily quickly found Tom hiding behind the sofa, but no matter how hard they looked, Dave was nowhere to be found. Can you help Emily and Tom track down their missing friend? Dave hid in the bathtub and closed the shower curtain. Since the curtain matched the bathroom walls, it was super easy to miss. Kyle is on a nearly empty flight to New York, but the kid sitting next to him just won't stop crying. Frustrated, he asks the flight attendant if he can switch seats. She checks his passport, rolls her eyes, and says, "That's impossible." Why is she so annoyed? Turns out, the crying kid is actually Kyle's own daughter. Ava got into a serious accident during the weekend. She got a concussion and broke her leg. Still, the very next day, one of her friends saw her riding a bicycle in the park, and she looked fine. How is that possible? Look, the girl who got into the car accident has a tattoo on her ankle. The girl on the bike doesn't. The girl who was riding the bike was Ava's twin sister, Malva. A doctor rushed into the emergency room and saw there were 2 patients waiting for urgent treatment. The man on the left was a tech millionaire, and the lady on the right was a grandmother to 5 children. He needed to think fast who he would save. Who should he choose? He should choose the grandmother. The man on the left has a phone next to him. He could call someone else for help. 3 scientists went to research in the Amazon forest. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the wildlife for his social media page, and Helena got to study a rare species of carnivorous plant. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take something in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Well, it's illegal to take seeds and plants with you, and Helena had a carnivorous plant in her backpack. Yikes! Mia went to Rome for summer vacation. She was wandering through the streets when she saw an artist's easel was knocked over. He said he had stepped away for 1 second and the tragedy happened. Mia decided to help him solve the case and interviewed a few people. Marco said that he'd been taking photos nearby. Harry said he'd been juggling for a big crowd a few meters away. Josie said that she'd come by just to buy a painting from the artist. And Leo said he had been enjoying gelato at a cafe nearby. Can you help Mia figure this one out? Well, look at Harry's backpack. There are some art supplies sticking out of it. He must have created a distraction to steal it. Yikes! Barbara invited her colleague Sabrina for lunch at her place. Sabrina was surprised she thought Barbara didn't like her. But Barbara went all in for their lunch. She even cooked delicious tuna. She split the fish in half and each of the ladies ate their portion. A few hours after lunch, Sabrina ended up in the hospital with severe food poisoning. After a thorough investigation, the police popped over at Barbara's house and arrested her. But how was this possible? Take a look at the knife Barbara used to prepare the meal. It had a bit of poison on one side. Certainly the side that she gave Barbara to eat. Oh my. You meet a friend for coffee, and she says she will only spill the tea on her latest secret if you can guess her riddle. She says, 5 costs $25, 25 costs $50. If you buy 255, you pay $75. What is it that you're buying, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and each number costs $25. It took a decade for Professor Evans' archaeological mission to find a priceless artifact. The professor stored it safely in a vault. The team celebrated the win with a bonfire and went to sleep. The next morning, the artifact was gone. Professor Evans decided to investigate the robbery herself. Jack said he spent the last 2 hours cataloging the pottery they had found earlier. Olivia claimed she spent the last few hours in the rest area getting some sleep. Mark mentioned he'd been repairing the digger all morning. Professor Evans immediately figured out who took the artifact. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. He claimed he spent the entire morning fixing the digger. But take a look at his hands. They should be dirty from the repairs. A car crashed into a restaurant window and drove straight inside. The owner was horrified and called the cops to investigate. There were 2 main suspects, Julia and Bernard. Each of them claims it was the other person who is the culprit. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Julia. If you pay attention to the tire tracks, you'll see that they're the same pattern as Julia's tires. She's the one who did it. Take a look at this picture. Can you guess who is more reckless? Let's see. On the first pic, we see a little kid on the beach playing near the water. His super muscular dad is in the background talking to a couple of women. In the second pic, the little kid is playing catch with a not-so-friendly dog. But hey, his dad in the background is paying close attention. It's safe to say the dad on the first pic is more reckless. You are in Greece, exploring some of the country's ancient ruins. You get lost from your group and find the entrance to a hidden cave. You come across a mysterious chamber with 4 massive doors, each with a unique symbol. Beside it, there is an ancient scroll. When you open it, you find a message that tells you to trust that your mind knows the fleeting nature of time. The first door carries the symbol of a shield. The second door has a crown. The third door features a pair of wings, and the fourth door has an hourglass on it. Which door will lead you to the treasure? The fourth door, the one with the hourglass. The clue was in the last phrase, the fleeting nature of time. It's the hourglass. You walk into a diner and there are 2 very suspicious clients indoors. And one of them is actually a criminal. Who is it? Let's have a look. The first guy looks suspicious, especially since he's holding a defensive device. The second girl looks more innocent. She's just sitting holding a knife and cutting her salad with it. But hey, she's the guilty one. That huge knife is too big for cutting a salad, and it's got a red stain on it. Sarah was invited for a brunch with her new colleagues from work. She recently started working at a tech company. She arrived at the restaurant but didn't see any of her colleagues. Instead, she saw a weird-looking robot. How could she tell that it was really a robot? I know it looks like a person, but hey, look at her wrists. She has USB entrances on both of them. It must have been one of the pranks her colleagues decided to play on her. Maeve quit her job and decided to travel the world. Her first destination was Paris. She didn't know anything or anyone over there, so she arrived and looked for the first hostel she could find. But, oh no, she really shouldn't go inside this place. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out why? This hostel is haunted. There's the shadow of a ghost on the top window. I definitely wouldn't go in. One late summer evening, a thief broke into a renowned artist studio and stole a rare painting. He didn't manage to get too far though, because a security patrol passed by while he was escaping. The thief stashed the painting under a thick bush and hid behind a nearby wall. The artist was quick to notice they had been stolen and called Detective Summer for help. The detective soon gathered 2 suspects. Take a look at the picture. Which guy did it? If you crawl through a bush with bare arms, they will most likely get scratched. Take a look at that second guy's arms. They're covered in scratches. He must be the culprit. A billionaire called Mr. Van Louis realizes he's living his last days. He decides to leave all his huge fortune to someone. After thinking it over, he's left with 7 candidates. Each person is different from the others. Each has their own motives and merits, and each and every one of them has some hidden secrets. Before making the final decision, Mr. Louis decides to listen to the candidates' life stories to figure out who truly deserves the inheritance. But keep in mind that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes It's the loveliest people who hide the darkest secrets. But before we eavesdrop on the conversations the billionaire is having with his nearest and dearest, let's sneak a peek at the characters and life stories of these people. The first on the list is 40-year-old Alex, Van's eldest son. At first sight, he's a successful businessman, just like his father. Since childhood, he's always been trying to please Mr. Louis, and now he's sick and tired of his image of a good son. It might be the reason why his business is in deep crisis, and the situation is so bad that the word bankruptcy has already been whispered. But is Alex desperate enough to do something unforgivable? We'll see. Maria is 35 years old. She's the middle daughter and a talented artist. Unlike her elder brother, she's always been independent, which caused a rift between her and Alex. But even though she looks cheerful and carefree, she's in debt and currently experiences too much drama in her life. She hopes that the inheritance can help her fix her career and recover from a financial setback. John, Mr. Louis' 33-year-old youngest son, is disabled. But despite the limitations of his own body, he's a doctor, and a good one at that. He is devoted to his profession and spends most of his time in hospital helping people. Van has known his best friend, Helen, since they were kids. Helen is 65 years old, and she's been with him through many ups and downs. At the moment, she's working as a volunteer, helping those in need. She hopes she'll get the inheritance. She's always speaking of opening her own shelter for homeless animals. Peter, who is 50 years old, is Van's trusted business partner and confidant, who has always helped Mr. Louis in all his endeavors. Peter seems to be dedicated to his work, and it might even be true. But his true intention is to take over Van's company after the man passes away. Is Peter eager enough to speed up this process? We'll see, I guess. Anna is 28 years old, and she's Mr. Louis' housemaid. She's been working for him since she was 20 and has earned a reputation of a modest and hard-working young woman. Anna has got a small son, and she dreams that he will study in the best college in the country. That inheritance could come in handy. And finally, we've got Max, Mr. Louis' bodyguard, who is 37 years old. Even though he's extremely charming, Max seems to be the black sheep, since he spent 7 years in jail when he was younger. No one but Mr. Louis knows the real depth of his crimes. Max seems to regret his past and does everything to make amends. Now, let's sneak into the billionaire's bedroom, where he speaks to all these people in turn. When Alex enters, his father doesn't waste a second.
I know about the problems with business you're experiencing. I don't think leaving you all my money will save the day.
Alex objects. I must admit that my company is nearing bankruptcy, but what you don't know is I have my own charity fund, which needs a lot of funding. I really need this money to keep helping people. Maria carefully enters her father's bedroom and greets him. She says,
Dad, I'm so sorry I haven't been by your side recently.
The billionaire remarks,
Yes, I know you've been very busy with your social life.
It's not that. I opened a school for young artists and was busy there.
Is this explanation enough to excuse a daughter neglecting her father? We'll see. John slowly and clumsily enters his father's room. He heavily sits in the chair near Van's bed.
Dad, I'm so sorry to hear about your state. If only I could help you.
Mr. Louis interrupts him.
Even if you could, you wouldn't, because you're the reason for my condition.
John is terribly shocked.
What are you talking about?
Don't play innocent. Now I know you've been poisoning me for years. You've got access to rare medicines and you use it to your advantage.
Exasperated, Van Louis invites the next visitor. Helen enters with a sad expression on her face.
My dearest friend, I'm so sorry to see you like this. I'm also sorry I didn't visit. I was busy at the volunteer center.
But the billionaire doesn't seem to be happy to see her.
Do you think I don't know about your gambling addiction? I know what you want to spend my money on after I pass away. Definitely not on an animal shelter.
After all that shouting, Peter feels nervous. He suspects that Van knows about his plans and dishonest schemes. And he's right. But what he hears next makes him freeze.
Peter, my loyal partner. I know you wanted to lay your hands on my business, but I also know that recently you've abandoned this idea. I'm aware of all those cases in which you negotiated with our clients to save the company and its reputation. I know that you spent your own money to solve the issues my business had. Thank you.
When Anna enters the room, Mr. Louis smiles kindly.
How is your son? I know you're dreaming of getting that inheritance to help your kid. I also bet you want to lead a luxurious lifestyle and drive an expensive car. But you must understand that I have my own children and I need to take care of them.
Anna exclaims.
Of course, I understand, Mr. Louis. I don't need all those riches. My only wish is for you to get better.
Eventually, Max comes to talk to Van.
Hey, Mr. Louis, I feel so bad about your condition. How can I help you? You've helped me enough, Max. You have literally saved my life countless times in drastic situations. But now, you can be sure that I won't reveal your secrets. I'll take them with me to the grave.
After talking to each of the candidates, Mr. Louis was left deep in thought. Should he leave his money to his eldest son, whose life was dedicated to pleasing his father? Should his daughter get the inheritance? Despite her image, she's actually bringing a lot of good to this world. Should Van forgive his youngest son, or should he report him to the police? Should he help Helen? After all, despite all her flaws, she's his oldest friend. Should he reward Peter, or should he help Anna ensure a bright future for her kid? Maybe he should show Max how much he appreciates his loyalty. The billionaire is at a loss. He drinks his medicinal tea and finally comes to a conclusion. He slowly and with great difficulty gets up from his bed and shuffles to the door. He opens it and sees 7 people. All of them are waiting for his verdict. So, what do you think? Who will Mr. Louis leave all his money to? Think twice, or maybe even thrice, since there are many worthy candidates. And now, get ready for the great reveal. Van Louis decides to leave all his inheritance to Anna. All because the billionaire is actually the father of Anna's son. Now the little guy and his mom don't need to worry. The kid will get the best education. A bright future awaits him. What Mr. Van Louis doesn't know, though, is that the boy's father is actually Max, the charming ex-criminal who stole Anna's heart many years ago.
Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. Suddenly, the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that, so he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game, and for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery, then decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were 2 creatures guarding it, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creatures said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the 3 doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home. Alright, without tilting your head or turning the screen upside down, try to figure out what's wrong with this picture. The woman's mouth is upside down, see? Now look at these hands. Which is the odd one out? The answer is hand number 2. It's the odd one out because it's a left hand. All the other hands are right hands. Look at these prisoners carefully. Which of them will escape from jail? It's the vampire who's going to escape from jail. Do you see that the window of his cell is open? Well, most vampires have the ability to transform into bats. He can do it too and fly away through the window. Now, how about these women? We can see that the lady on the left is visibly upset. She also has red stains on her dress. The girl in the middle, she seems to be a bride, is calm, but she has a slit in her dress. The woman on the right is angry and has something red on her hands. Can you figure out which of these ladies is dangerous? It's that bride in the middle. You can spot a knife hidden under her dress. Can you move only 2 matchsticks to take the bee out of the glass? But you need to keep the glass shape. To solve this match puzzle, you have to turn the glass upside down or make it inverted. Move the only horizontal match either left or right so that only its end touches the bottom vertical match. Then take one of the top vertical matches and move it down to make the other side of the glass. Now, you need to move only 2 matchsticks to make the biggest number possible. The highest number you can make by moving only 2 matches is 781. Take the middle and bottom horizontal matches from the number 3. Using them, you can make a 1 next to the 8. Look at this picture carefully. What's wrong with it? The cord for the electric hairdryer is missing. A bit of the cord can be seen behind the hairdresser, but then it disappears. I am round, I am sharp, I am small, I am big. I exist, then I don't. What am I? It's the moon. It's round when it's full, it's sharp when it's a crescent, its size can vary depending on its phase, and it's gone when it's a new moon. You are driving a car. On your right, there's a steep cliff. Right in front of you, there's a horse. And right behind you, there's an elephant. Both of these animals travel at your own speed. On your left, there's a fire truck blocking you. How can you stop your car? Just ask the merry-go-round operator to stop. Mr. Brown's wife had gone missing. A detective came to investigate this case. Mr. Brown told him that the last time he had seen his wife had been in the morning. She was having breakfast then. When Mr. Brown returned home at 6 p.m., her breakfast was still on the table, but she had disappeared. After these words, the detective immediately arrested Mr. Brown. Why did he do so? When the detective arrived at the Browns' house, the breakfast was still steaming. This means that Mr. Brown had set up the scene right before he called the police. A man was trapped in a dark room. His only source of light was a candle. There were 3 doors leading out of the room. Behind one of them, there was a tunnel that could lead him outside. Behind the other 2 doors, there was just a concrete wall. The man had a key that could open any of the doors, but he could only use it once. Still, the man managed to escape. How did he do this? He brought the candle to each of the keyholes in turn. Near the door with the tunnel, the flames started to dance. There were two trains heading towards each other. They were going along the same track, and it was 7 o'clock on the same day. And still, the trains didn't crash. How is it possible? One of the trains was moving at 7 a.m. and the other at 7 p.m. Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called the ambulance. It turned out that the man had been poisoned. But he and his wife ate the same dishes, and Olivia was perfectly fine. The next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Ooh. Something went wrong in a super-secret laboratory. Scientists ended up locked in one room with the vicious monsters. One of the researchers managed to figure out how they could get out of this dire situation. But the substance they needed was in another part of the laboratory. The scientists could get there through one of 3 corridors. The first was guarded by fire-breathing crocodiles. The second corridor was filled with meat-eating sunflowers with extra sharp teeth. Whoa! And the third passage was swarming with venomous bees. Which one should the scientists choose? They should opt for the corridor with the sunflowers. Those are plants, and however scary they are, they can't move. 3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video? The same guy came to the store several times, in April, August, and November, and every time he has a cast on his arm, but no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. David moved to a new town. The place was so small there were just 2 dentists there. One day David woke up with a toothache. He needed a dentist, and fast. The first dentist had fairly old equipment, and his teeth were kind of bad. The second dentist had a spotless office with the newest equipment and a Hollywood smile. Which professional should he opt for? David should go to the one with bad teeth. You see, dentists can't treat their own teeth. So the first dentist must have looked after the teeth of the second one. Ooh, great job. One afternoon, all the money was stolen from the register of a small cafe on the beach. The police have 5 suspects. All of them claim they hadn't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them carefully and try to find out who the thief is. It's the guy with a cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place? Daisy returned home and noticed that someone had broken into her apartment and stolen her diamond necklace. The police arrive and question 3 neighbors. Greg was painting his ceiling. He was wearing headphones, so he couldn't hear anything. Bianca was hiking with her bestie all day long. They've just returned home. Glenda only went out once to walk her dog. She thinks she heard some weird noises from Daisy's apartment. Who's lying? Greg, take a look at his ceiling. Does it look freshly painted? Busted. Daisy works as a manager at the local circus. Her task is to prepare their new location for future performances. She arrives at the spot, takes a look at the stage, and freaks out. Why? Take a closer look at the sign. It says citrus instead of circus. Daisy goes to her favorite cafe to have lunch. There, she sees these three people. One of them was poisoned. Can you guess who? The third guy didn't even touch his cappuccino. He must be just sleeping. The second lady is awake. She has some cappuccino mustache, nothing criminal. But take a look at the first guy. He's wearing glasses, so we can't say for sure whether he's awake or not. Meanwhile, his phone is ringing in his pocket, but he shows no reaction at all. That's suspicious. So he's the poisoned one. After lunch, Daisy enters one of the dressing rooms and finds their star, Clown Roger, unconscious on the floor. Daisy calls the police. They arrive very quickly and question three witnesses. Bob says he was just walking by. He has never seen this clown before. Mia says that she's a huge fan of Clown Roger, and she's very sorry. And Nick says that he's just a handyman. The circus hired him to fix problems with electricity. Who's lying? Bob. He said he had never seen this actor, but he's wearing a t-shirt which has a print of Clown Roger's face. So Bob must be his crazy fan. Daisy visits another star of the circus, Dave. He's a talented acrobat. Dave has just received a mysterious basket of candies with a letter. The sender is unknown. The letter says, "Dear Dave, thank you very much for your talent. I really like you. Let's go out sometime. Best wishes." There's no name on the letter. Dave has no clue who it could be from. Luckily, there's a short little riddle. 3rd of August, 4th of February, 2nd of May, 3rd of December, and 6th of October. Can you help him crack the code? The 3rd of August means the third letter in the word August, which is G. The fourth letter of February is R. The second letter of May is A, and so on. So the name of Dave's secret admirer is Grace. The circus company throws a corporate party. They ask all employees to wear some Halloween costumes. So Daisy heads to the shopping mall to get herself one. But they only have 3 options to choose from: a witch outfit, a mermaid costume, and a vampire costume. Can you help her make the best choice? Take a closer look at the witchy costume. This tag says it's made out of paper, so it's a bad idea to wear it at a party. As for the mermaid costume, the tail is torn at the back. So Daisy should pick the vampire outfit. Daisy arrives at the party. Everyone's dancing in their Halloween costumes, but one of these 4 people is a real vampire. Can you guess who? Let's see. The guy on the left is drinking something red, but he has a shadow, so he can't be a real vampire. The second lady looks pretty creepy, but if you look closely at the mirror on the wall, you'll see her reflection, so we can exclude her. We can also see the reflection of the 4th guy in the mirror. only one lady is left, so she must be the real vampire. Daisy's town has an old haunted museum. Daisy and her friends decide to spend Halloween night inside the museum to have some spooky time. As the clock strikes midnight, the portraits hanging on the walls of the museum come to life. A portrait of a lady starts screaming for some help. She tells Daisy that the former employees dared to make a fake version of her portrait, and she wants Daisy to destroy it. But Daisy takes a look at the fake portrait and spots 3 differences from the original. She assures the lady that it can't hold a candle to the original. Can you spot them too? The lipstick color, the pendant, and the ribbon on her hair are all different. Then Daisy goes to the cafeteria to grab some snacks. There are 3 options only. Which one should she choose? Take a look at the date that's written on the potato chips bag. According to it, the chips expired in 1924, so that's a pass. The small note below the ice cream says it's earwax flavored. Nobody wants to taste that. So Daisy should pick the popcorn. Daisy keeps on walking and comes across a building. There are 2 ladies in 2 different apartment windows. Both seem to be busy with household duties, but one of them is dangerous. Can you guess who? The second lady is just getting rid of pests. There's nobody in the room and she's wearing a mask. But take a look at the lady on the left. There's an open bleach bottle next to the food she's cooking. Ew, no thank you. Daisy keeps on walking and faces something curious. It's a 5-letter word that is under you. If you remove its first letter, then it's over you. If you remove its first and second letters, it's all around you. What is it? It's just a chair. The next morning, Daisy arrives at the circus. She finds out that Dave was kidnapped by a mad scientist. He locked Dave in his lab in one room and put a zombie in another room. Daisy arrives at the lab to rescue Dave. She sees these 2 doors with 2 signs. Only one of them tells the truth, and another one lies. The sign on the first door says, "Dave is here and the zombie is in the next room." And the sign on the second door says, "The zombie is in one room and Dave is in the other." So, where's Dave? Dave is in the second room. If door 1 tells the truth, then door 2 is true too. This is contrary to the terms of the game. Daisy rescues Dave. They escape through a long corridor together. Soon the corridor splits into 3 tunnels. They are signed West, East, and South. The pair also see some weird inscriptions on the wall. Which corridor should they choose? Daisy and Dave should tilt their heads and look at the inscription upside down. This way, it reads South. The guys keep on walking and find a door, but it's locked. They need to enter a 4-digit password. Luckily, there's a hint nearby. It's a note that has 4 images. Can you help Daisy and Dave crack the code? Each digit corresponds to the number of colors of the objects. This clover only has 1 color. The Santa hat has 2, the banana has 1, and finally the rainbow has 7. So the code is 1217. Daisy and Dave open the door and escape from the lab. They find themselves in the middle of an island. The guys hit the road and drive to the pier, where they face these 3 bridges leading to the mainland. Sharp rocks and glass cover the first bridge. The second one is swarming with venomous snakes. Hot orange lava is boiling on the third road. Which route should they choose? They're driving an open-top car, so it's dangerous to choose the snakes. The first bridge will destroy their tires, so they should pick the third route. The ocean will soon cool the lava down and turn it into stone. It was Emmanuel's dream to become the greatest detective in the world, but to do that, he needed to get accepted to the International Detective Academy. On their entrance exam, they wanted to test the visual perception skills of the potential students, so they gave students 3 images and asked them to find out what was wrong with them. The one who spotted the abnormality the fastest would get in. Here's the first image. Can you help Emmanuel out? The clock on the wall says it's 12 p.m., but the window view suggests it's sunset time. That doesn't add up, even if it's noon or midnight. Here's the second image. What's wrong here? The lady sitting at this table appears to be reading a book, but she's holding it upside down. And the last image. Spot the weird thing real quick. The picture on the wall is supposed to be a historical portrait, but the queen on it is holding a cell phone in her right hand. The county detective agency got a call from the sheriff's office. A criminal who had been in prison for a few months had escaped the jail. They were able to chase her until she blended in with the crowd at the venue where the annual Iron Lady competition was taking place. The president of the agency wanted to test the new recruit, Michelle, so he sent her to find the criminal without giving any information about what she looked like. Once Michelle arrived at the venue, 2 suspicious-looking ladies competing on the weightlifting stage caught her eye. Can you help Michelle identify which one is the criminal? It must be the lady on the right with the long hair and dark brown roots. Since she was in prison for a few months, she wouldn't be able to dye her hair there. Arya, a brave knight, was seeking the enchanted sword to save her kingdom from a cyclops. However, it was guarded by an ancient dragon who loved to play games. When Arya finally made it to the top of the Misty Mountains where the sword was, the dragon greeted her and said, "Only the one who answers my riddle is worthy of wielding the sword. Tell me, what is it that given one, you either have 2 or none?" The answer is a choice. Van Pulsing was a famous monster hunter. One day, he got a call from a couple who were the owners of an old mansion. They claimed that there were monsters occupying their home, hiding in plain sight and making them live in fear. They wanted Van Pulsing to free their house from them. He said they should continue their usual day, and he would observe where the monsters could be. Take a look at the bedroom. Can you spot the monster? Here, this is not a human hand. Where could the monster be hiding in this portrait room? Do you see Van Pulsing's shadow on the ground? It looks totally different from him. That must be some other shadow monster. Where's the monster in this reading room? Look at these candles here. The flames are eye-shaped. That must be a fire monster. The main ice sculpture at the Winter Festival was mysteriously melted hours before the grand opening. Angelica, the event planner, got suspicious of 3 participants: Derek, who was setting up food stalls, Olivia, in charge of decorations, and Sam, who was nowhere to be found earlier. Can you help her figure out who sabotaged the sculpture? See the small temperature arranging box directly below the sculpture area? It is password protected. And look at Olivia's palm. There are numbers written on it, which appear to be some sort of a password. It must be her who tampered with the system to melt the sculpture. Jared and Rita were going camping in the woods and had to choose a site to set up their tent. There were 3 differing camping areas available: Emerald Forest Camping, Firefly Mountain Campgrounds, and Starlight Lake Campsite. Can you help them decide which spot is the best? Look at this tree in Emerald Forest Camping. There's a bear hiding there. This option is definitely a dangerous one. Firefly Mountain Campgrounds is located next to a rocky hill. These loose stones and sharp rock edges pose a great risk. So they should pick the Starlight Lake campsite. A famous sculpture went missing from the art school gallery. Detective Joshua was informed that there were 3 students who were last seen near the gallery. Alexandra claimed that she was sketching in her notebook. Beckett said he was in a pottery class, and Caleb said he was reading in the library. Detective Joshua could immediately tell who had the missing statue. Can you? Check out Alexandra's sketchbook. Among her sketches, there's a detailed drawing of the missing sculpture, suggesting she took it to study and draw from it. The Museum of Art was doing a special exhibition of a very famous modern painting. There was a rumor that on the day of the gala, the artist who painted it was also going to be there. However, no one knew what they looked like because they were keeping their face a mystery to the public, and only the curators knew what they looked like. James was an art student and was a big fan of this painting. He had an invitation to the gala and was determined to meet the artist. Take a look at these 3 guests. Who do you think might be the artist of the painting behind them? We already know the name of the artist from their signature on the painting. It's Ali. Now, even though the second guy here is holding an exhibition brochure with the same signature, look at the tag he has on his jacket. It says he's the curator, so he already knows what the artist looked like, and he's just another fan. Now, check out the third lady. She's holding a red-colored pen, just like the color of the signature on the brochure. She must be the one who signed it, so she's the mysterious artist. It was snowing a lot that winter. Penny, the police officer, was on duty at the Commonwealth neighborhood. During one of her regular patrols, she noticed a suspicious-looking man who was carrying 2 bags full of stuff. When she asked him what he had in them, he said they were clothes for donation. Still, Officer Penny arrested him. Why? Look at the footprints on the snow. He left the house through the window after robbing it. If he lived there, he would rather use the door. Ellie went to the beach on a hot summer day. As she was placing her towel and umbrella on the sand, she noticed someone had dropped their diamond ring. She went to the beach guard and asked him to announce if anybody was missing their ring. After the announcement, 3 people, Jennifer, Shelley, and Marie, came and said the ring belonged to them. Can you help them figure out who is telling the truth? Take a look at Marie's ring finger on her left hand. She has a tan line there. She must have been sunbathing when she dropped her diamond ring. Bernie was working in Los Angeles, and his girlfriend Deborah was working in Austin, Texas. She was living alone in a studio apartment. They loved each other very much and talked all the time. They were keeping their long-distance relationship alive by exchanging photos every day. But one day, after Bernie received 3 photos from Deborah, he immediately called her and said everything was over between them. Can you tell why? In the bathroom photo, there are 2 toothbrushes, even though she lives alone. In the living room photo, there is a man's shoe on the floor next to the door. And in the kitchen photo, on the planner on the fridge, Tuesday is circled. And inside the circle, it says, "Date night with James." Deborah is clearly cheating on Bernie.